Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to Geek Fruit Retcon, where we travel back in time to a previous episode from our inglorious history on the Geek Fruit podcast. Happy listening, you nerds.
Hi everybody, welcome to a new episode of Geek Fruit. I'm here with Jishnu, and we also have a special guest in the studio, which is something that we don't do very often, but we're trying to make it happen slightly more often. We have Aniruddho Chakroborty, the overlord, that's the word that Jishnu used in a Facebook caption. Benevolent overlord of Chariot Comics. One of the few ones, but good ones. I'm talking about Indian comic book publishers in India. That's why I use the word Indian. So, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to say, do you do many podcasts, nerdy podcasts?
No.
Yes.
Do you know of many nerdy podcasts that exist?
I think there's one. You guys.
Yes.
That's it.
We won.
And then I think Comic-Con, we did one or two episodes when they were doing that couple of years
really?
back.
Oh, they were?
Yeah,
Oh, I
they
didn't
were.
Who are those terrible hosts? I don't know.
Was I hosting it? I don't know.
Okay, if you're hosting it, it's fine. But if they got other people, I'm just like, no. No, but I mean, I'm making a joke out of it, but it's also kind of sad that they're not
very
more
sad.
of
Yeah, I
you
think-
and us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really
true.
the whole reason
Yeah.
why we are trying now to make a conscious effort of, bringing people like yourselves into the studio, at least like, I don't know, monthly wise, so that we can kind of get
Yeah, and that's great,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
overview of what's going on.
Yeah, we were just at Comic-Con this past weekend, and it was really exciting to get some recognition for the podcast, in that we actually met a couple of people that saw us out of the blue, and it's a really bizarre feeling. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, where it's one thing to be noticed for your work, and it's like, oh cool, like Tejas and I both play music, and so it happens now and again that people recognize us for our music, and that's cool and it's great because we're always putting that out. But this being a not a visual medium, so somebody, I think 3 people separately came up to me wearing a Geek Fruit t-shirt, and they were like, hey, I listened to that podcast
that's so
thing. And I was like,
That's
oh, that's
awesome.
really cool. And then I introduced myself, and he's like, you're Jishnu?
Yeah, we can't put a
And
face
I
to
could
the
see
face to the voice.
his I could see
Yeah.
his brain working. He's like, okay, I'm gonna associate this face now with that
No,
voice.
it's-
I guess it's the same
And I'm
for-
really disappointed by the face I'm looking at, but it's cool.
It's probably the same thing. I mean, if your face is not the brand that you're selling,
Yeah.
that must be a bit of a scene. Do you have that issue?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That is always there. But yeah, one of these days, I think it was a couple of months back, and I was just sitting around at, I think, summer house or something in Delhi. And someone actually were like, aren't you a comic book guy? I saw you there. I was like, yes.
It's like The Simpsons. Comic book guy, But that's cool. I mean, we're yet to, it's not evolved, I feel like, so much where it can be like, hey, aren't you the guy from Chariot? Or aren't you
Yeah.
the guys who
Yeah.
do, for us it'll probably be, hey, you're the, whatever, you are the nerds, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, which
If
is
we,
okay, yeah.
we become the comic book guy, the nerd, it was fine.
Yeah.
But, so you're here in Bombay when you stay in Delhi?
Yeah, I stay in
Okay,
Delhi.
stay and work in Delhi. Cool. So, I mean, so you've been making the rounds for Comic-Con.
Yep.
So, we
How
just
many
had
have you
it this
been
weekend.
This year or overall?
Yeah.
Indian Comic-Cons. How many have you
Indian
been to?
Comic-Cons. We started Comic-Con started 2011.
Yeah.
We started doing Comic-Cons in 2012 when we sort of officially launched.
I was there. I
Yeah,
interviewed
you were there.
then.
Yeah, exactly. So since then, at the least, we've been doing 2 to 3 Comic-Cons in a year.
Okay,
And
cool.
now, this year, I've been to all of them. So except for Bangalore and Delhi, which are coming
Which
up.
are coming
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah, so
right.
Bangalore, I think my friend Akshay, who's partners with me in ICBM for Metadesi Comics, he might be taking on Bangalore, but
Okay.
then Delhi's home ground, so both
Cool.
of us are going to be there.
Yeah, man, that's the
Nice.
big one. I don't know,
Yeah.
how did Delhi become the 3-day one? Do you think Delhi is the place where comics, that's the hub of how music, I mean, I'd like to say it's Bombay,
Yeah.
but for anything in art or in pop culture, things like that, do you think it's Delhi?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, at least from a comic book side of things,
Yeah.
I would tell you Delhi is our favorite Comic-Con because, and we realize this, at the core of it, Delhi is cash rich.
That makes so
Boom.
much sense.
The plot-
And that makes a lot of sense, if you look
Yeah,
at it. Because
yeah.
over here, people will come up and ask you for discounts and all of that.
Right.
And, okay, can you make a combo and all of that? Delhi, we tell them, okay, look, if you buy 3, it's a combo. And they're like, no, that's fine.
Just buy the,
Yeah, just
buy the
it.
lot.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, 100, 150, chalta hai yaar, de do yaar, koi nahi.
That's awesome.
That's great.
I mean, That
That's
is
reason enough
encouraging.
for me.
I'd say that's encouraging.
That's, yeah.
So
that's-
Delhi is always fun for us because we actually make a lot of money there.
Okay, cool.
So,
Alright, so-
How was it this year, though? Did you?
the
It's
last
coming-
one.
the
There's
last
one
one.
coming
Has it
right
just-
now. The
yeah.
last year one, which was, and they changed the venue this time. They made it open air and stuff. So
where was it? Isn't it Delhi Hat or something? Where they
No.
use it?
Delhi's become big. So they were for the first 3 years. I think it was Delhi Hat. Then that venue got too small.
Oh, damn.
Then,
Okay.
then they moved to Thiagraj Stadium. I don't know.
Okay, I haven't been.
So they had an indoor stadium in Thiagraj. So that's one of the other, apart from
I
Jawaharlal
see.
Nehru, one of these other stadiums which is there in Delhi.
Right.
That became small as well.
Wow.
Because and that was the first ticketed event. So all of us were like apprehensive because if it's gonna start charging people, like I don't know if anyone's gonna turn up. Will they have money to buy us?
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to
Yeah.
We'll get to that, but-
admonishing
yeah.
Comic-Con India. But yeah, sorry, go on.
But then the crowd started pouring in, and we were like, okay, this is getting out of control. I couldn't get out of my booth for a day because it was that crowded.
Wow.
I was just like, I can't like go to the
Awesome.
washroom.
Excellent.
So,
That's
the best problem
really-
to have.
And now, since that got small, they are in the NSIC grounds. That's okay. To recognize that would mean where the Lakme Fashion Week happens.
Yeah, of course.
That
Yeah, I think
big
I've been for it.
open
Yeah.
air thingy. So that's
Yeah.
where they're doing.
Wow.
Their show
It's
now.
huge, man. So how many times the size of Bombay would that be? Like that venue?
That venue is twice.
Okay.
At
Wow.
the least.
That's
Damn.
big.
At the least.
Because our problem. So actually, let's get into discussing Comic-Con now that we're doing it. So Comic-Con, I've been for a few. I've been for some of the express versions. The one in Kormangla, where I met you way back. And the thing I find, we've been discussing it just generally, and our opinion has always been like we want to be positive, we want to be like really helpful, because this is not like this is just at the beginning of a scene, right? It's not like comedy which is taken off in India because that's a real industry right now. OML has got like people handling these comedians and doing shows regularly. They almost have 6 days a week because comedy can go any day of the week. But and so they've got that. We've got music kind of somewhere there with festivals. The comic book thing, which is what you really want to help out. So we've always tried to be positive, saying no, Comic-Con India, chalo theek hai, you're doing a good job, you're giving it. But really, I have a few questions. So they have a ticketed kind of event, and then they're also taking commission for booths. Are they doing something like that for merchandisers or for any comic book publishers?
Although you guys don't have to pay,
We don't have to
right?
pay it.
Okay,
Is
so
that all Indian comic authors, or
So-
just the ones like you that have been around
Okay,
since day
so
one?
the deal with that is for us, and now there aren't too many Indian publishers
Right.
left since
Yeah.
I started, and I think I've seen at least 8 come and go since
man.
2012, and that's not too long a
Okay,
time.
yeah,
okay.
it's 4 years.
Right, so there are like I can count. There are like 5 or 6 Indian publishers, indie
Yeah.
publishers. Let's be slightly more specific that way, which are left, not counting Campfire and Amateur Theatre,
Yeah.
because they're like bigger,
hardcore?
Yeah, they're hardcore.
ACK,
They're bigger.
man.
Yeah,
It's the manga of India. Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
So, what the deal we have with them is, since we've been doing this and we've been pushing our stuff out for a while, we have to turn up at each Comic-Con, but they don't really charge us money to be there.
So you're not paying for your stall.
For our stall. And
Cool.
in fact, they are being really nice to us because
That's
they're giving
great.
us booths which are already pre-made and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So
Right.
I can turn up 5 minutes before the event and be like, yep, okay, let's start.
I'm here.
Yeah.
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 Because earlier we used to I used to land up an hour early. I would take all my posters, put them
Put it
up,
up, yeah.
and do all of those things. I don't have to do that anymore. So which is kind of fabulous.
That's
And-
great.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
good to know that they're helping
And what
out.
about
Okay.
hosting panels? Because you've done that, I think. You did that
Yes.
this time. Have you been doing that?
Yeah,
Since the start?
regularly.
Pretty
So
much.
I think the first panel I hosted was John Lehman way back in Delhi.
Okay.
So John Lehman, and since then, I did David Lloyd in Bangalore.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So
How is
David-
he? Sorry, is he
David Lloyd or John Lehman? Because
David
both
Lloyd,
are fun,
obviously,
man.
yeah, okay, yeah, no, because big fan of
Yeah,
Indian
so
stuff, yeah.
David is so obviously now his focus is Aces Weekly.
Okay.
But he knows how to play the crowd because you obviously have a 5-minute conversation before, and I was
Right.
like, I know you really want to talk about Aces Weekly and
Yeah.
all of that. I have a lot of questions there, and I'm going to start with Aces, and then we'll go to V for Vendetta.
Of course.
He walked in, he saw the crowd, he's like, yeah, you know what? Let's talk V for Vendetta. It doesn't matter. Like,
Smart
So
man.
we found this
Yeah.
problem happen a lot. So
Yeah,
when we
yeah.
came for Express in Pune, there was a scene because like all these guys who are coming down, obviously they're being brought in and they're
Yeah.
saying, and they're being brought in on the CV, right?
Right.
And like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, I've drawn Batman, I've drawn this, I've
Yeah.
drawn that.
Yeah.
And then they come to kind of also pimp their new stuff. Like I remember when
Yeah.
Ivan Brandon came down, he had
Drifter,
Drifter, right?
yeah.
And Drifter, I mean, I still haven't got around to reading it, but it's like it looks great and it looks
Yeah,
like the
Drifter's
art,
good, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the art is fabulous.
Yep.
And like, so, we were also like, so when we went to interview him, we were like, listen, man, let's not be those guys who have to like say, no, but tell me about Deadpool. Which,
and again, Ivan knew that, and
Yeah.
when I took his panel as well, like on both days.
Right.
And I told him, like, you're gonna get a shitload of like, can I say those words?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
did.
go for it.
Now you can. Yeah.
Now I can. Yeah. You're gonna get shitloads of like Deadpool questions. And he was like, well, I really haven't done too much Deadpool,
Right.
but you know what? I'm gonna wing it.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
And he was okay answering
Yeah.
Deadpool questions
That's
at
cool.
random.
And we spoke to him on the second day, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
So we were there both days, and we spoke to him on the second day. And he was his desk, I guess, his signing booth was right in the middle of everything. So everybody would see him eventually, and inevitably everybody would line up and sign and get photos and whatnot. The first day when I saw him, he was like all smiles, like everybody was.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, I think this is sort of the trend of Comic-Con in general. Everybody first day is like just, innocent excitement, raw energy. Yeah, Comic-Con. If you go back the second day, especially if you're working like we are, the second day is like, oh God, this again.
Yeah, I know.
And so I saw that look on his face. And so when we go up to him the second day, he's got this like really tired, fatigued, foregone look. He's like disillusioned, like, alrighty, I'll sign this piece of crap. And then the minute we say Drifter, his eyes like light up like a kid all over again. He's like, yeah, you give a shit.
Yeah,
like,
that was good.
No, that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, as a creator, you really want your creator-owned comics or properties to be, someone to come up and ask you about that instead of the standard, because he's done a lot of work for DC and and all of that. And he was like, but I really want people to talk about the Drifter and some of the older stuff he had done, because he had done this other noir, crime noir thing which he had done, which is also pretty good. And so he was really happy when I was asking him questions. You actually read that.
You did your research.
Yeah. I did my research and I came, so yeah.
That's great, man. So, no, but last thing, speaking of sitting right in the middle of everything, when will we have a Hall H style separate place? Because it's such a racket when you're there. And we were there, like, obviously, I was there yesterday, and Jishnu and Dinkar were there for both the days. And it was just such a distraction. Each time, there's a panel going on, there's a very limited amount of seating within these kind of...
the panel
area. The panel area.
Small.
But it's right in the center of everything. So, like, everyone has got, like, somebody's shouting from a mic somewhere else.
Right.
The trailers are loud as hell. But, like, when the panels are going on, everyone's like... it's just like, that's it. So, I mean, that was a bit of a pain. So, but do you think, it feels like there should be a separate, like...
Okay, so
I don't know.
if you remember Pune, you remember how the stage was separate from the main
Pune
area?
did have a different
but
room.
Pune was like outdoors, dude. Like, so that was like, that was heat max.
Yeah, that was true.
It was crazy hot.
It was hot in February.
It was not
as someone from Delhi, I cannot
It was
understand
not
that.
comfortable.
So,
I will say then, to the credit of Bombay's Comic-Con, though, it was very, very comfortable.
They had the air conditioning cranked up in the morning. You couldn't enter. It was that cold.
Oh,
So,
I'm only assuming it's because Comic-Con Express was first time Comic-Con's coming to Pune. So that was like, they were just like, oh, where do we put this?
We need a big
outside?
tent. Cool, now put everybody in the tent. And
So,
let's pray.
but yeah, the Hall H kind of thing where you focus on a different event and you have reservations for those events is still 5 to 6 years away, man, at the least.
No,
Again, and that's
definitely,
also
I get it.
more to do with the audience than anything else, and then Comic-Con. I mean, I think from what I know from these guys, they would love to have stuff like that, but just get, like you're saying, it's growing, right?
Yeah,
so
it
the
is
audience
growing.
also has to kind of get used to it, become more participative, and all that. And I've seen that happen. Like, I like in Bombay, day before I did that session on creating comic books and all of that, where I was working with my artist Tarun, who's worked on all of my titles.
Right.
Given how the sessions have been before versus now, it was way more interactive and way more fun. So
I noticed
the audience
that.
is picking up. It's interacting now. So that's good. I mean,
that is
but
good, I
5 years before we get knowledge.
Yeah.
Cool, fair enough. We'll be there.
Exactly.
All right, last few things about Comic. What's the most bizarre thing that's ever happened to you at Comic Con? Like any like weird requests from like people to like, I don't know, like I can imagine like just the same people who are going up to like people like Ivan and saying, draw me Deadpool, like so and so. I mean,
can you draw Deadpool on my arm so I can
that
tattoo him?
happens.
So
Has anybody asked you to draw Gandhiji's face on the side of their arm and
to
get
my
it tattooed?
artist, yes, and that's not that's not a bizarre thing, but the most insulting thing which has happened to me happened in Bombay, I think 2013.
Oh, no.
Which was I think this was 6 o'clock in the evening, and this auntie comes up to me very candidly and she's like, hey, ab to 6 baje, last day, half rate no? And I'm like, auntie, sabzi nahi hai ye.
Half rate. Oh God.
I'm like, no, I'm not selling vegetables. I will not sell that to you. Like, I can't carry these back.
No, and it's
I'm
not
okay.
like you're not selling merch.
Exactly.
You're selling
Like-
like comic books. Yeah. Okay, I get
And
that.
I can carry the comic books back and I'll sell them somewhere. I told her, like, this is not something I need to get
They
rid
aren't
of.
gonna go spoil.
Yeah.
Not negotiable.
They're not gonna-
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So,
You should put a fixed rate on your
yeah,
stalls
we try.
on
We
there.
try.
Oh man. Okay, and last bizarre thing for us was, I think, for you probably Ajay Devgan appearing at Comic Con to promote Shivai.
Yeah.
I think.
So I've seen a lot of branding for it because like it's
I
all
still
over
don't know
the
what the
place.
hell it's about.
I don't know what it's about. And
know?
so there's a comic book that's been released, I think, as a prequel.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Yeah, okay, we're on the same boat.
So who's made the comic book? Do you?
I think it's the TBS Planet guys, the same guys who did the Flying Jet comic book.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I
so
saw that.
those guys.
Alright.
So I think they're focusing a lot on movie
merch, like pre.
kind of,
so their heart's not in it.
Yeah.
So basically, their heart's not in it.
I mean, it was the most bizarre sight to see that in the middle of the second day. There was the one side door that I guess he was coming out of, and there were big signs everywhere in front of it saying, "Do not sit in front of this thing." And the whole entire first day, and when I saw it, I was like, "Why? What the hell is this for?" And then nothing happened through those doors the first day. And then the second day, the whole crowd gets there, like literally 1,000 people gather around it. And of course, because everything is running late, as it always inevitably does, for a good like half an hour, there are 1,000 people with cell phones out,
who are, like, just blocking that.
just like, I can't wait for the thing to happen. And I'm like trying to put it together, like, what the hell is the thing that's going to happen? And then I see that they're going to do the panel. Okay, cool. He's going to come through. When he comes through, it's like complete pandemonium, as you can imagine. He gets
Ajay Devgan though. I mean, for the sake of just being around for the last
pretty much. I mean, like that love was not going to Jim Beaver or any of the other guys anywhere in that
Jim
extent.
Beaver,
he got
stage sessions. There was
there was love, but I mean, it wasn't
Ajay Devgan
wasn't
love.
that kind of like that fanaticism. So that was like a little sad to see. But the hilarious thing though was that the minute he gets on stage and everybody calms down and everybody gets seated, or rather just stands wherever they can fit themselves because it was that packed. The first thing he says is, "Guys, do you like to destroy?"
Oh yeah, that was.
And crickets. Everybody's like, "Yeah, what do you have to say, Mr. Devgan? We love you. Do you like to destroy?" What?
Well, I think
I said, "Do you like to destroy?"
It's a heavy statement considering the remarks he's been making in public of late. Yeah, so I was just that's what I asked Jishnu. I was like, "Oh, did he speak about Fawad Khan?" And like no, and like he was just like, "No, of course not. Of course not. He's not going to do that." I was like, I would have been that one guy saying, "Hi, I'm Tejas from Geek Fruit. What do you have to say about Fawad Khan?" Wow,
Destroy.
Do you guys like to destroy? Anyway, so that was the most bizarre thing for me, I think. Probably, if I was there, that would have been great.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's take a break from Comic-Con. We'll take a break generally. And we come back, we're going to talk about Chariot Comics, we're going to talk about VRICA, and we're back with Aniruddho.
Long ago, not in Bethlehem, but in a place nearby, there was a wonderful birth of a huge show, which I like to call Cyrus Says. A show that encapsulates everything in human history, from the first Homo sapien to the last Homo sapien, who's traversed the entire world and then come back to India. This is a show which tells you everything about everything. If you want to know, avoid Google, come to us. It's called Cyrus Says. Get new episodes every Monday on the IVM podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts on. You get one banana vada free with every podcast. Right. I'll just check that.
Right, we're back on Geek Fruit. We're with Aniruddho from Chariot Comics and Jishnu and me, Tejas here. All right, cool. So,
so defeated.
I don't know why. I don't know why
you sound destroyed.
I don't know why I try and reintroduce this. It's like somebody's made it 20 minutes through a podcast in a country which doesn't listen to them. I think they're still there. I think they'll know.
That's why my go-to, just 3 words. Ahoy, you nerds.
Okay, cool.
Just go
Fair enough. Okay, so our introductions are done.
Yeah, anyway.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into drawing comics. I know this is probably a story you're going to have to tell for many years.
You must have this elevator pitch down at this point.
No, not really. But and there's this one story which I really haven't told anyone. Okay, obviously
exclusively on Geek Fruit. Go for it.
So and it's kind of hilarious in that sense because so obviously as a kid growing up you do those things where you make your own comic books. You've done it. I'm pretty sure you doodle and you make your comic books. So you do the thing where you actually package it. And I used to do a lot of Commando and Tintin ripoffs.
Nice.
I would make up my own stories.
Nice.
And
I did Zorro.
You did Zorro.
Yeah,
okay.
I did Zorro.
Is this Commando the video game?
No, Commando. Those those old
Commandos.
Comics.
Yeah.
No.
That art is so distinct also, man.
Like those World War II comics.
The World War II ones, yeah.
Sure. I believe you.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I used to do those. And obviously then growing up and you get into college, you get into this and all of those things. You have a boring ass job. And that's fine. But there was my friend Katayan, obviously. And he also was trying to do stuff for movies and things like that. I mean, he's still directing and all of those things.
Nice.
And we were working on a script together. Like we were saying, okay, let's throw in ideas, see what sticks to the wall and all of those things. While I was actually helping him out with concepts. And it was like, okay, a lot of this stuff can actually work for comic books, in that sense. So VRICA, incidentally, was sort of a movie script, a spy movie.
It
thriller.
has that feel. Yeah.
All over the
But
definitely is.
the
Yeah.
original draft obviously wasn't superheroes and all of that. It was more action, more Jason Bourne-ish, if you would put it that way. While all of this was happening, I was sitting in my office, like the standard day job, and I still keep a day job. So given how much money there is in comics,
Right.
So I was sitting there and I was reading. I think this was the time when Final Crisis was coming out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Grant Morrison's run had was about to start, and I was reading one of these prequels which were coming in. I think it was one of those 52 series.
One of those 52 series.
So
yeah.
it was the scene with where Pied Piper sort of saves the universe or destroys it. If I don't remember,
alright.
but there's this really expansive scene, and I was reading it on the computer. So the chaiwala boy comes in and he puts the tea down and he's like, "Ye aapne banaya hai?" And I looked at it and I was like, "No, nahi, maine nahi banaya." So and he looks at me pointedly and he's like, "To banao na," and he walks off.
Wow.
And that was
He called you out.
Yeah, he called me out. And he just said banana, and he had seen me doodling, right? He'd seen me draw random stuff while he's giving tea and coffee and all of those things. But that was that, that FAir moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a point.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
So, and then at that point in time, obviously, the one of my relatives, he was good with sketching and all of that. And this is 2009.
Okay.
So, we did like a VRICA pilot. It was not very good artwork. Then we did another pilot. That was again not very good. Then until we finally reached a shape where it could be made public as such.
Right.
And that was in 2012.
Okay.
But yeah, how did I get into it? It was that chaiwala ne
Chaiwala.
bola ki banao na
So
yaar.
how many shares does he own in Chariot Comics? How many shares does he own in Chariot Comics
None
now?
yet. But
How many
if I-
spokes on that wheel? Yeah.
if I ever make money, I'm going to track that guy
That
down
guy.
and be like, dude,
It's like-
yeah. Thank you, man.
Here's your tip. Well, so
Wow.
I have possibly a pretty stupid question, but it's that. So, as somebody that I don't draw comics, but as a filmmaker, I see the sort of the storytelling,
Yeah.
the bug that you get once you've written one, you will just want to keep going with it. Does somebody that wants to become a comic book either author or illustrator, or in your case, run an entire company in that regard, if you want to make your own comic, quote unquote, whatever that means, do you inevitably have to be good with drawing, or do you meet people that just have really good ideas and can write scripts that inevitably need somebody else to draw it for them? If you want to be a comic book author, do you have to have a good drawing
Okay,
hand?
so you don't need to have a good drawing hand, but you should have a good, at least a visualization or storyboard sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least you should be. In some cases, the artist may not understand your instructions, so you should, at some level, even using stick figures, have some amount of perspective.
Sure.
In terms of if you
Okay.
want to panel it on, you can just make round circles.
So you need to be
and
a
paste.
visual storyteller.
Yeah, you
one way or the
should.
other.
You should be able to visualize.
I think it's
for sure.
akin to being a singer and not an instrumentalist.
Yeah, exactly.
And then trying
Right.
to
Yeah,
write
yeah.
songs.
Can you write a song if you can't play an instrument?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Cool. That's interesting. So,
Very cool. Okay.
So even being as a writer, you have to be able to kind of just say, "Oh, this is," because there's so many moments where you try to want to say things, but it's better probably as a visual.
Yeah, you
right,
need
right.
to be able to hit that balance.
Wow, man. So that must be like a scene. So when did you kind of decide? So after this guy, you tracked down somebody and you made this pilot.
Made this pilot. Yeah.
And so this was the first Chariot comic.
Ever?
Full stop.
In what sense? As in first.
Which
As
was
in
the
VRICA,
very
which was the
first
one that
Chariot
kind of
comic.
brought you
Like I
guys,
said, yeah,
which you put on sale, to the
So
public.
the first one we put was VRICA number 1, which was a single issue. We put that up for a free download, and this was in 2012. The first chat. So we basically launched ourselves in 2012 Comic Con in Delhi Heart.
Okay.
So
Where you were
that-
doing a printed publish.
I was doing a printed number 2 for
Okay.
VRICA, single issue.
Yeah.
And I was giving a free download for number 1.
All right, sweet.
And then I also had Damned pilot running,
cool.
but it wasn't that great. So we kind of you know what? Let's not sell this.
Okay.
It's fine.
You retconned it.
Yeah. So then recently I retconned it.
Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That must be but you put so much effort into
That's
it.
Yeah.
okay, but I think it's good to fail, because what that taught me, going out there trying to, and there were people who appreciated it, there were people who said, no, this is terrible. The point is, you should be able to admit to the fact when someone tells you this is terrible, because that's the only way you'll be able to improve.
Yeah,
You know?
sure.
So someone tells you that sucks, and you're like, yeah, it hurts, but maybe you're right. You know?
Okay, cool, fair enough. And so you've been here from the first, first Comic Con.
Second,
Okay,
but
the second.
Yeah.
So what were they doing in the first one? Were they only selling merch, and were there few comic book creators
In fact,
already?
Okay, so first Comic Con 2011 Delhi Heart, if I remember, there were probably more Indian publishers, because there were a lot of people starting
really?
out that time. So there was Vimanica, I think. There was Level 10. Campfire had just was still in its early days.
And
that time.
these were all guys that hadn't had stuff out yet, so they gave people.
Campfire definitely has.
Campfire had stuff out. Level 10 also had stuff out at that point in time. Level 10 had a big distribution reach. Actually, they were available on the the Sidewala, Radiwala magazine stand.
That's the place, dude. That's crazy.
That is the library.
Exactly. So very, very good. I think they had tied up with Indian Book House or something.
But when they gave you a shot at the second one, did you have anything prior to that to show them and be like, hey, look, I do stuff and I'm kind of good, so give me a chance?
Unless you just book a stall.
Or do you just book a stall? And they
blindly
blindly just put faith in you, which is great. I mean, that's awesome.
They were okay with that.
That's great.
Because they were like, okay, we need new people.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, they really want to encourage new people coming in and all of that. But it's just that some people stay, some don't. So, that's why the competition...
How much do you invest in a guy when you don't know how far he'll get? No, that's fair. That's a fair.
So, they did. They were okay with it. And they said, no, they did ask, can you send us some concept art or anything of that sort? We sent. And they were like, fine.
Awesome.
So yeah, at that point, our concept art was pretty kick-ass, but not necessarily our paneling and the comic thereof. But
yeah. Fair enough. Okay. So I've known a couple of friends of mine who have been doing like web comics, and I think that's that's a pretty good starting point for a lot of people.
It is.
So how do you make the leap from actually going webcomic printing? How much does that entire operation get it? How much of your life does it take over? Because now you've mentioned you have a day job.
Yeah.
So how much of your life is it really kind of? Are you compartmentalizing and doing it?
You
both
have
ways?
to plan that out. So I mean, because you cannot falter on both fronts. So what I end up doing is given now that I've been doing this for a while,
right.
I know exactly how much I want to produce in a year, number of titles.
Yeah.
And also I don't want to overproduce because that's what happens is when you're overproducing, you make, like I said, I used to do single issues and stuff, and they were on deadlines, and it wasn't fun. So almost 2 years into the entire thing, I was like, okay, I am not enjoying this, and that wasn't the point.
Yeah.
Right? So that's when I was like, nope. We did do a hard stop for 6-7 months. In the middle. So we were like, no, we're not doing anything. Let's all take a break. Either we are done or we're gonna come back. So our comeback was with Dawn of the Wolf.
Okay.
So when we launched in Hyderabad, we were like, no, now let's do this, try and do this properly as much as we can, and let's have fun with it. Let's just do new things and not just be, okay, we need to come out with a comic, so we need to come out with a comic.
Well, I have to say, I think it shows. We'll definitely talk a lot more about VRICA in just a couple minutes, but I have to say that this first read, especially with the first one and the second one definitely, but especially with the first one, it immediately feels like one of the meatiest comics. And that, I mean, physically, it's just look, it's got a lot of pages.
Also, the in media res, you're coming into a story.
Because of all the other local authors we've read, especially with that very first opening series that you read, a lot of it is setting up the status quo and let me walk you through
the origin story problem.
Pretty much, it's the origin story problem. And the fact that you were bold enough to be here's how we're just getting straight into it. And then you have a couple of asterisks saying, by the way, if you want to know more, read the one-off
very
series.
Stanley-like.
But I was like, what I liked about that was the confidence in that. I was like, oh, cool, this is, my introduction is, there's more to it. There's more to it that I haven't told you about, even though this is the first one. I was like, oh, that's a bold move.
Is the Zero incident in VRICA 1? Is that the one?
It's in 1, so it's actually a free download.
So I haven't read that one. That's probably it. Yeah,
you can read it. So that's the one we launched in 2012. Like I was saying, it's a free download. I mean, for me, it was like if you want to read it. To be fair, the way VRICA's evolved while we were working at it, all of this is just additional reading. To me, that's not... All of a sudden, now, this is not part of the core story I want to tell.
As in, you're telling it on multiple levels.
Exactly.
So you can flesh out the story as and when.
As and when. So all of that, you can read VRICA 1, 2, and 3. They're available as digital. So... if you want to, because I think, so how the plot goes is Zero Incident is the origins. It's a 20-page origin of what happens, the incident. Number 2 is where I decided I hate Select City Walk in Sake, then I'm going to blow that shit up. So it's like a terror.
All right.
But where will I go to chill in Delhi?
You got Promenade and the other malls now in Vasant Kunj, so those are cool. Oh, Hoskas Village.
Okay, Hoskas Village. No, we spend too much time in Hoskas Village.
We have to play Hoskas Village. We're there for work. We work in Hoskas Village.
Yeah, you work in Hoskas Village.
Okay, cool. So I have some more questions on your distribution strategy, right? So now you have decided that you only want to release so many titles a year. How do you make sure? Because how do you make sure it reaches even the potential people who would be interested in reading this kind of comic. And the thing is that because Jishnu and I, we're all learning from this entire, even getting you here is pretty much learning for us. Because like when we try and even when like as simple as doing like targeted posts on Facebook, we're like, who do we get into the scene when there is none? Like when we can only very vaguely say, oh, if you like Marvel comics, you'll probably like this, whatever.
How do you find your demographic?
How do you find that? And also, so you're putting it directly now through your website to sell.
We are selling it.
So do you go on other platforms also?
So we were on Amazon, Flipkart, and Amazon, Flipkart, not on Snapdeal or any of those things.
Snapdeal's got Snapdeal's now become less shady because they have new branding. Yeah, they have this whole
the unboxing.
They've tried to go the less shady way. All right, so go ahead.
That aside, no, but so what happens was we kind of like. Okay, so and this brings me back to the original thing we were discussing, which is how much does Comic-Con actually encourage you? For a while, Comic-Con, when it was, they had their own website and they had their own distribution network because they were doing that. They were actually selling comic books and these things. So we were available on the Comic-Con India side, and they actually would push us out to Amazon and Flipkart. Because they had so they were doing that distribution.
So when did they give up on you?
No. So they didn't give up on us. Right. They have some technical issues because now they're part of the Read family,
Read Pop,
right?
Yeah.
Read Pop family.
But I would think that just gives them more ammo to do stuff with, right? Because it's tell me I'm wrong.
At the core of it, that is online selling, and that's not the core proposition for Comic-Con India. So. That's what. So they kind of just don't do that anymore.
That's not their priority.
That's not their priority anymore.
It wasn't their priority to begin with, so I guess.
Okay, fair enough. No, because so Jishnu and I have been we've been talking about Geek Fruit. We've been talking about how we always wanted to make like the okay listen of comic books, which is let's just start a website and tell me how hard is this probably to do, or whether anybody would subscribe to it. But if you made like one website which is only comic books and nothing else, and like give away the sales completely to you guys, or maybe take like you guys take 90% and then do that, would that be like so much of a problem? Or it's not difficult to start at all?
It's not difficult to start. It's the question, or the entire point here is how do you sustain?
Okay,
because
but my point, it's a website, and then and the back end is handled by how you guys are doing it either way.
No, fair enough. But again, it's just when you see the numbers, sometimes it's just either disheartening, nihilistic. I don't know. Like it goes down to that level. Sometimes you look at the numbers and you're like, why am I even doing this?
No, we know that feeling well.
Exactly. Right? So why am I even doing this? But the encouraging part is. And which is where, coming back again, Comic-Con India is the platform. For me, I can actually, if I'm consistent enough, aggressive enough, while I'm at the cons, it's actually, for me, I can survive. And over the 4 years, obviously, I've had those bad times. Like I said, we had a hard stop in the middle and all of those things. But now I am at this place where if you technically were to look at it, I am making as much money as I'm spending on the comic books now. Yeah. Sure, I cannot go in for the previous losses.
But you're breaking even now.
Operationally breaking even now. I sell and I make money back, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, because this is also this is what you want to do. Like,
exactly. And it's fun. So now it's like, okay, I made these many copies and those many copies are gone, and that's fun to do.
Right. Okay.
And the reason we started sort of like selling using Instamojo on our side was, and again, my entire site, I haven't spent like more, except for the domain and except for like linking it on WordPress, I haven't spent a single cent on building that platform because it's like connected to Instamojo. We use WordPress, and it's just this thing where I'm like, look, if you want to buy from us, it just makes more sense to just tell me, I'll ship it out to you. Just pay me and I'll ship it out to you. Why do you want to go to Amazon?
So similarly, it just happened because when Fanboys came out by Abhijit, I was like, oh cool, let me just go to Flipkart, and then I saw all of it. I was like, let me just download everything. Let's just buy everything. So I bought all of it, and then he messaged me on Twitter saying, hey, don't worry, the other issue's coming to you right now. And I was just imagining, I don't know why, but I was imagining like there's some warehouse full of these books, and some guy is probably shipping it out to me. But it's him, and it's you, and it's all you guys.
I ordered one of the issues of TNT from Speech Bubble, and
They're doing it on their own as well.
It was hilarious because we had just been doing Geek Fruit for like a few months at the time, and this was the first thing that had been shipped to us addressed to Geek Fruit. So I was really excited. When I got it, I took a picture of it and I sent it all, send a message to the guys like, hey, we just got like official Geek Fruit mail. And it was so endearing because it was one single issue of the TNT series. I forget which one. And he had wrapped it You know that brown school notebook paper? He wrapped it in that inside a regular like translucent plastic bag that you would buy vegetables in.
Ziploc bag. Yeah.
No, not a Ziploc bag.
Then just
like a
standard
theli.
one.
Just a simple
Yeah.
standard theli.
Yeah. Okay.
Inside which was a brown plastic thing. And then for my address, he took again a school notebook label, put it on that name, Geek Fruit address, my address, and all that. And I was just like,
That's
you
awesome.
literally just did this in your bedroom the minute you
Yeah.
saw it. And I was like, that's really cool. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it's-
Try ordering from me and you get the same thing.
I know. Like I was like, this is great. This is.
Wow.
It was very, very endearing.
It makes it super personal. But I'm like, now let's move forward. We gotta move forward, man. Like I really feel like if there was just like one space for people to come to, and then it kind of encourages more reading. It's like the Netflix of whatever comic books or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, anyway, this is a plan for the future. But yeah,
I think that's a good
we would
idea.
really love to have
But
all
again,
your work
so
on it. Yeah.
when you're doing that, just is just trying to figure out how you can sustain yourself for a long time.
Yeah. But,
Because
it'll
you
just
have
be a
to get
website
through
for us.
that. The hard stop wala thing. One moment you get through that, you will be.
No, like for all of us. So I mean, we also all like kind of quit our jobs and to do this. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
like because we also do music. Jishnu shoots and things like that. So anybody I feel like who's in this field really kind of needs to. We got to make that leap at
the
some
nerds
point.
unite.
Yeah,
We need to
nerds
do
unite.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree, man. All right, cool. We're gonna take a short break, and now we're gonna talk about the actual comic. We're gonna talk about VRICA and talk about some of the other titles at Chariot Comics.
Awesome.
Hello there, my name is Naveen Narona, and as a gay person in India, I get asked a lot of stupid questions.
Beta, is it LGBT or eligibility?
How do two men procreate?
Bro, is Grindr better than Tinder or what?
We answer all these questions and much more on my podcast, Keeping It Queer, where I talk to individuals from the LGBT community in India and learn about their personal stories. Catch all the episodes on the IVM podcast app or any other podcasting app you like. Till then, keep it queer.
Right, we're back. We're talking about Chariot Comics. We're going to talk about VRICA now. So this is your main. Would you say this is your flagship title?
Flagship title,
Yes.
for sure.
Probably best known for this.
Best
I
known
guess?
for this as well. Most repeat readers in that
Awesome.
sense. So,
Nice. Yeah. So like I said earlier, this is the second you open it, it is easily. I'll use that word again because it's a fun word to say. The meatiest of pretty much all the books I've read from the indigenous authors. In that right away you're getting straight headfirst into a pre-existing world where you just sort of have to like catch up, which is a really nice feeling, knowing that like this world is bigger than the readers allowed access to immediately, and that it sort of gives you that sort of. I've used this metaphor before of like the whole feeling like it's a video game and you have to like. Try and play all the other side missions to feel like you've got the whole set. You don't get it all immediately and right away. So one really interesting thing right off the bat as well, within the first issue and it continues in the second, we talked about this a little bit before.
Actually, maybe we should preface it then in that case. Do you want to just like...
Actually, why don't you... I'm sure you've done this elevator. Go for it. How would you best sum it up?
Okay, so when we started with VRICA for us, initially starting out, was supposed to be sort of like either Captain America and his Howling Commandos in an Indian context, or how we would give the elevator pitch was, so imagine G.I. Joe in India, but they got like an Indian Captain America type guy, leading them. Yeah. So that used to be our elevator pitch, and that would catch attention, when you're talking to someone, or
you've used the word super soldier also.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm blatant about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
So and like I was saying, like how I blew up Saket City Walk and all of those things in episodes. Yeah. So when we started, it was more of periodic, like G.I. Joe, there's a mission to mission and all of those things. So, and I'm going to reference back to what I said in terms of the hard stop. When we were doing that, after a point, I was like, this is getting a little boring, There's nothing new here which hasn't already been probably said before.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's when I had the idea for Dawn of the Wolf. And Dawn of the Wolf, I was like, okay, look, this is going to be sort of a standalone. I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction to the world.
Yeah.
If you start here, it's not like you're missing too much. And if you go straight in, I am giving you an overarching plot.
Yeah. And it's a longer story.
And it's a longer story. Yeah. And even between that, I get to tell all these side stories, which I always wanted to.
Yeah.
I could condense that into one complete thing and head towards that, big ass ending.
Yeah,
towards the end.
the third act, man.
The third act. I
Yeah,
really wanted the third act. And for that, going back to the origins, building that entire world, etc., and then leading to it was like, nope, let's just get straight into it and figure this out.
No, makes so much more sense. It's it's so much more cinematic. And this is a conversation we had, I think, last year was it with Vivek Goyal? I'm not sure, but like the guy who wrote TNT, and he was talking about Shamek, right?
Yeah.
So and he was, when we were talking to him about it, he just went hard into like this pitch. He's like, no, it's exactly like, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because when it ends, one of the characters from the other series joins, and then I was just like, oh, because they're trying to
that's Vivek's pitch.
That is Vivek.
That is Vivek's pitch.
So it was really awesome, and I was just like, okay, cool. Do you feel like your comic books, because this used to be comic books in the world generally,
right,
for like 70 years. We just had 75 of Wonder Woman, right? And just last few years were Batman and Superman. So 75 years of all these comic books, which have been influenced by nothing but like maybe external things and you know, other kinds of art. But now, do you feel the reverse effect happening where movies, because they have existed now, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been around for like what, 8 years now?
8 years now, I guess. 2008, so Iron Man.
So
13 movies, 8 years.
Exactly. So I mean, like, do you feel like a lot of your comics, or maybe comic books in general, are being affected by movies in this reverse polarity kind of way?
I mean, there is always a little bit of back and forth, obviously, because again, movies, they take the best from the comic and try and bring it to the visual cinematic medium.
Right.
And when they do that, there are things which they are doing right, which you want to sort of put back in the comic books.
Yeah.
So whether it's with Marvel, DC, or even us, you obviously do get influenced by these things, and it's a back and forth, and I think it's a good back and forth to me personally.
It seems like a fun dance.
Yeah, it's a fun dance.
I mean, there are a lot of purists, myself included, sometimes, you know, because like. You know, it was one of those things, I can't remember this. So the bad effect of it was when, you know, the Fox franchise, the X-Men franchise from Fox wasn't, you know, the deals weren't working out with Marvel.
Yeah.
So, like, Marvel Comics stopped their, like, X-Men for some time. Like, you know, just prior to movies and stuff like that. So I always felt that was weird. The other thing is that, you know, characters have never aged in comics, right? Like they're timeless. Bruce Wayne is like, he's gonna be like 40 years old for like forever. But like now with the movies, I mean, even the fact that Robert Downey Jr. himself is like aging, it feels like even in the comics they've kind of like shifted him out of the you know, the main attention, and now it's like Riri Williams who's like the new
because they want to get a younger demographic and get it kick-started.
That kind of like time has been introduced into comics.
And that's a good thing. I mean, that's a really good thing that they are actually, and it allows you to bring in more characters, you know, allows you to rediscover what was good about that old character when you bring someone new in, take on a mantle, and there are good things about that person. Like, for example, you know how when Dick took over as Batman, I thought that was a fun run, actually.
But see, here's the other thing about that. So now, for example, now you have your main character, so Rohan. Yeah. So Rohan is like, you love to write that character because he's like, he's the guy, man. He's the main guy. So I'm saying, wouldn't that be like, until these kind of new characters have come along, until then, like Batman lived in the age of iconic characters, so he cannot be removed. But if there was a new one, I mean, don't like comic book creators themselves feel like, oh man, I wish I could make this Batman or make this Captain America. Like, I want to keep writing this iconic character. So does that?
Yeah, but you got to do what works best at some point. You're like, if the audience wants that, you have to do that as well, because otherwise it becomes a self-indulgent exercise, and I don't think that's the best way of going about it. No, there is obviously some amount of self-indulgence you got to do when you're writing or creating, but you also have to hear the audience, and if that's what's required, do that. Otherwise, you do your creator own like the Image does, man. Some of the fantastic stuff is happening there in Image Comics.
I mean, isn't that exactly the same with literally any medium of art?
Yeah, exactly.
Because like the
music,
the filmmaker, films, like you know, Spielberg makes Jurassic Park, and then for 20 years he doesn't touch dinosaurs. He's like, tries a whole bunch of other things, tries artificial intelligence, tries this and that. Some of them work, some of them don't. And then eventually he's like, you know what, maybe the most amount of money. I'm going to do that. I'm going to die soon, and I want to leave my kids with a lot of money.
Let's just go back.
I already have a lot of money, but I can make them more money. Let's do a couple more. And that's not a bad thing. Like, musicians will go through that. You'll change
Sting is making another... I mean, like, his newer record is a police record.
Yes, exactly. You'll change it up depending on trends, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong.
Fair enough.
Do whatever you do with conviction. So I'm glad you brought up Captain America as an example, because while that is really kind of obvious with the whole super soldier references and whatnot, actually the first thing that came to mind more so than Captain America was specifically Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what was really cool is I looked up the year and like, so this was, you said 2012, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's before the movie came out as well. So
Yeah.
before it was like in the public
Imagination
realm of,
sort of.
But the
public
Ed
eye.
Brubaker arc was out.
No, and to
No,
be fair,
absolutely.
that's true, and that's
So
a good reference.
was
I was
there-
reading it then.
So that
and
was consciously...
So
in
in
your
a way,
head.
not consciously, but yeah, for
Or
me,
you were aware of it.
I was aware of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was reading it, and yes, in some ways, that was influencing the current time when I was
Yeah,
writing.
and just generally, that's one of the greatest arcs ever.
I know,
yeah,
exactly,
so that's
right?
fine, yeah.
So what happened was, I really like Captain America as a character, and same for me as Superman, because they embody so much of the goodness they come. Even though sometimes it's like very stubborn goodness.
It's like
but that's
incorruptible,
important.
yeah.
And when I wanted to make this character, I was like, can I subvert that? Because I mean, that time also it was the time of the anti-heroes and all of that. Now I am like, I think maybe we need a little bit more brighter things. But when this started out, I
Time to
wanted to
change the colour
subvert the
palette.
Captain America thing. So
Okay.
for me, yeah, exactly. And you're right in that sense that he's probably more Winter Soldier than he's Captain
Yeah.
America. But yeah.
Well,
and
I
that,
mean,
I
you
take
say-
that as a compliment,
Oh,
actually.
that's
So,
totally
yeah.
intended as a
It's
compliment. And while
amazing.
you say you want a brighter side of things, I just want to read I want to read 3 panels. Just 3 really quick panels. I'm going to describe this to the listeners. So it's there's a sniper, one of the guys in the team of VRICA, who's got his sights on a bad guy with his daughter.
Yeah.
Is that right? So
Buying
he's
ice cream, actually. He's
buying ice cream for his
daughter.
daughter. He's got his scopes on the guy, and it reads, his inner monologue is, he's standing there buying ice cream for his daughter. She looks cute, like a little painted doll. With my 50-50 chance, the shot could either hit the target's chest or rip off the little girl's hands, sentencing her to death by blood loss. Either way, she'll be scarred for life, Daddy's little daughter. We aren't dealing with moral ambiguity. This is wrong. But I have my orders. So welcome to life and its miseries, you little shit.
Wow.
So,
I remember that.
so much for the brighter side of things.
I know exactly.
But
right?
I loved that. Like this, so this
No,
is
it's
this
as
series
real
is
as it
full.
gets,
The series
yeah.
is full of these moments which I
Yeah.
just love, where the guys just call it out pretty much as it is and unapologetically, just like, you know what,
That
it's
is
really
life.
cool to be a superhero.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy.
It's not easy. I mean, it's hard to make those decisions, right? And there's this other one. I mean, if you look at the sequel, and one of my favorites, and that's the standing joke I have with Srijata. She's the one who runs Striptease the Mag.
Yeah.
So first time I sent her this book, so for sort of like a preview and a review thing, she just wrote back saying, "Did you just in your comic throw a kid out of the window and blow him up?" Yes.
Okay.
I was like, "Yes, I did." She's
That's
like, "High five."
Isn't that the opening? That is
Yeah,
literally
that's like
the
the opening sequence.
Okay.
The opening sequence of the second book. Yeah, literally.
And to me, see, again, I mean, obviously that scene itself is like, okay, it's not cool and it's also really tragic and it's sad, but if you read that portion, there is a reason he did it. And
Yeah.
for me, that entire sequence is about why would you make that decision? Is
Yeah.
that in that moment, is that right, wrong? And his best friend, I mean, sort of like the second in command in the team, he's like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, I had it covered. But his thing is like, in another 3 seconds, if you
It would have, yeah. fair
went
enough,
wrong,
cool.
that's a big fucking loss. So I couldn't take that choice.
All right.
And for me, VRICA is mostly about that. It's at some level about moral ambiguity, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also at some level that these guys, I mean, when you're hard and fast about doing what's right,
Yeah.
and there are tough decisions
Yeah,
like
and
involved
I
in
just
that.
feel like in India that would be the only choice that you have. I mean, like it just seems like any setting here or just like generally with our culture, it just seems like
And
it's the
yeah.
hardest one to make, man. Like always, it's not as hard. Yeah.
We would be amiss if we did not talk about these two guys. Can you
Yeah.
please, just in a nutshell, how
Okay.
the hell did this come up? Like, this is one of the most brave and boldest decisions to introduce these two characters.
Yeah.
Can you please just walk us through that?
Okay, so the VRICA Ascension Protocol, which is sort of like a follow-up, and and this is something I haven't like spoken about, and it's also funny again, is that after Dawn of the Wolf, and you've seen that ending there, I had a little bit of a writer's block for a while.
Okay.
I didn't know where to take it from there. Was he just gonna keep doing this?
Could you just briefly just explain where you leave things at the end
But
of
that's,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
would be
actually, well,
spoiler
it's a
that won't be a
alert,
spoiler.
right?
Let's not spoil.
That's
Okay, let's
sort
no
of
spoilers.
let's not
spoilers.
spoil.
Yeah,
Let's
this
not
is
spoil.
true.
That's fair. Let's not spoil.
Okay.
Yes, but that moment, that big decision the character takes at the end of the first one,
Yep.
it was sort of like, okay, I have reached a peak, now I really don't know where to go from here. Okay, so, and after that I was like, okay, I had some portions of the story in mind running towards the end, but I was like, okay, again, this is going back to the same thing where it's like, okay, this is becoming episodic and there's nothing new right there. And then I had a breakup.
And so you go to Gandhiji for solace.
The most asexual man in the history of the country. No, he's great. No, he's great. Love him.
And I think, and it was like a painful time at that point, I think. And, that's what they say, never piss off a writer, right?
Yeah.
So I found all the things, the girl I was dating.
Did you Taylor Swift somehow?
Yes, so I
this is
Taylor
amazing.
Swifted that one.
This is amazing.
You
Please
dated.
continue.
Oh my God.
This is
So
amazing.
the girl that she used to love opera.
Okay.
And she was really touchy about Jewish jokes.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what?
Oh no.
I am going to put Jews in a gas chamber and they're going to power my soul forge while opera's playing. So
That's
and that's
awesome.
literally how that scene came about. And
yeah.
it's like really dark because I read that scene and sequence like a year later and I told my friend, why did you not stop me? Like,
Why did you let me do this?
do this. So, and he was like, I told you so, man. Like, and I remember him calling me up saying, are you okay? Because I had sort of like told him like, I wrote this scene. I think it's really cool. And he was like, dude, are you all right? Do you need help? And I was like, no, I'm fine. I really want to put that. But what that happens is, when I was writing this, Netaji sort of becomes another parallel to what Rohan was doing in this comic book.
Yeah.
Again, what Netaji in this one is set in an alternate universe. I really wanted to introduce Jaegers and Hitlers and that angle as well.
Right.
And I thought that was a cool thing to bring in.
Yeah.
Again, you would think he's the villain in this. You would think he's evil. But again, he's making those hard decisions throughout. And while I was writing it, and I was like, okay, who would be the only other person he would go to? Who he would consider equal enough to give him advice? Because he's shown as a very, very strong, very, not level-headed, but a hard-headed character. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's got that conviction.
Yeah.
But when he starts to falter, when someone like that starts to be like, okay, am I doing things right?
Yeah.
Who would he go to? He would obviously go to Gandhi. To me, at least in my universe,
absolutely.
he would.
Yeah.
And it's just, Gandhi, he doesn't have too much of a role there, but it's just him telling him what he needed to do.
His presence is very much felt immediately. I mean, like, it's...
So it sort of is a foil in terms of he tells him what he should... He doesn't even tell him what he should be doing, but he just sort of puts a mirror in front of him like, is this what is to be done? This is what you want to do. If you do this, is this going to happen? And is that what you really want?
Yeah.
So, and it really affects Bose's character where, I mean, I'm not going to reveal what happens, but he's just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can see the level of respect they both have. And that's something I really wanted to bring in a couple of pages.
Yeah.
I mean, as much pages I could give to it. So.
No, absolutely. I mean, the minute you see so if you haven't seen it, Netaji and Gandhi are on the cover of the thing.
Yeah.
So at first you might wonder, like, they look kind of familiar, but I don't know who these guys are. And I was stunned at myself in that I didn't question it. I was like, this works without any issue, which is a Herculean feat if you look at it on paper. And the fact that, like, so it's about super soldiers and people like terror strikes and blah blah blah, and then Gandhi shows up and he's having what was basically a Magneto and Xavier
it's sort of,
conversation.
I actually wanted that moment in there, and
it
you're
was
right.
just so great. Like, it's really, really compelling. I don't have a better word for it. It's so well done. So I just want to move on just really quickly from VRICA though. So we have Damned, which now should we give away the little thing at the end? Is that
it's
cool?
officially launched, so I mean, okay. You can.
So at the end you have your little crossover moment, which I wish you hadn't told me because that would have been great.
So I haven't read Damned. I think we can save it.
You want to save it?
I can tell you. So I'll give you the basic thing. So again, like I said, this one is sort of a reboot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, like, we did a version of Damned. We've taken the same characters, put them in a new context. Not too far a new context, but we've done that. And when I realized, so like I was saying, I need slightly more bright. Damned is dark. I mean, it's talking about vampire monks appearing, but it's not dark in a very indulgent way. It's not trying to be the anti-hero. They're also like, yeah, ho raha hai. I mean, like, they're speeding down the India highway into China in a Tata truck. Like, the second character is like, why have you taken a Tata truck? He's like, I don't have money, man. Like, and the character of Morpheus, who's there, and he's got a home loan problem which he needs to deal with and things like that. And these guys are like old gods, okay, sort of. And that's sort of, you'll get to know while you're reading it. These guys are immortal creatures, and there's like an immortal creature with a low Sybil score and a pending home loan. And he's like, dude, I can't deal with this world over here. So, and this deals with the magic side of things, and VRICA obviously deals with a little bit of magic and more of action, adventure, and tech and all of those things. Yeah. So at some level, this was the perfect opportunity to sort of like bring it all together.
Okay. Yeah.
So just like 4 pages of quick this thing, and I sort of start my Chariotverse. in
Nice.
that word. So
That's
if
cool, man.
This
Chariotverse.
is CV. Your CV.
CV.
All right.
CU.
Yeah, CV.
CU.
The Chariot.
Universe.
That'll be universe. So Chariotverse would be CV. So I'll go with CV. That's fine.
I like
Yeah.
CV.
Yeah.
Anyway. Cool. So Damn just came out. What is next for you is the obvious question.
Okay, so, and again, coming back to what I said, which is the world needs to be a little brighter.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next thing I'm going to do, and just because I really want to do that, and I think that's required, is something for kids.
Oh,
And
sweet.
we are coming out with this other new title called Aisha.
Okay.
And I think that's the most amount of fun I've had writing anything, even more than
Sure.
VRICA Ascension, for that
Wow,
matter.
okay, that's good.
And it's sort of set just about in the same timeline. It's about this girl and her dog, and it's in that whole kid space where it's nice, fluffy visuals. It's very manga-esque art style and all of
Nice.
that. And I mean, I think I have this favorite line there, and and we're doing a sort of a teaser in Bangalore Comic Con, which is coming up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's great. Yeah.
And I think so what I'm trying to do over there is take the dark things which are there and try and mix it up. So I think my favorite dialogue I've ever written is there's this kid in a school turning into a big Lovecraftian monster, and before that he was fighting with Aisha for her share of samosa. So there's this entire line where he's like, would you deny the Dark Lord, the old one, his gift of, and it's like this big ass thing going, samosa! So I think just when I put that down,
I'm
I'm
sure
sure,
that's-
okay, this is
yeah,
like
that's
my favorite line I've ever
Okay.
written, you know.
A samosa.
And these guys exist in the same
I'm
universe.
trying to see. It's difficult now. This is where I'm
I
because
mean, not necessarily
Yeah.
they
Well,
have
see-
to might have to
Well,
interact, but
so
they're the
that's
same.
I mean, going back to your earlier comment, of
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
know now people kind of expect it. I feel
Exactly.
like.
Connective
Exactly.
tissue.
So
yes.
is that a burden on writing
a
this
little
one?
bit, at least for example, for Aisha, for Damned it wasn't a burden because they work perfectly
Yeah,
existing
yeah.
together. For Aisha, it might be. I'm still trying to figure it out. And again, I haven't taken that call whether it needs to totally reside in this
Sure.
universe
I guess
or it could be
tone is
separate.
the issue,
Yeah.
right? Like that's
Tone is
probably
the issue.
it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
so at least I guess you've now basically told us that there is not going to be a crossover in the first.
yeah, there's no
Okay.
crossover in the first one. So for sure, there's
All
no
right.
crossover in the
No,
first one.
suddenly she's walking and electricity walk just blows up. In her.
Dude, what the hell? Like my
That's
ice
great,
cream
man.
joint is gone. Like what?
Awesome. Well, so when is the third VRICA out? That
Okay,
Are
so
you
cannot
working
wait.
on it?
Okay, I have an idea for it, and the third one is just going to be more about. Third one is visuals,
Right.
Mostly. So I'm gonna have because for me, VRICA is a 4-part story.
Okay.
So third one is sort of like a break in the middle where I'm not gonna make it that intense about the inner monologues and the dialogues and the characterization. Third one is just gonna be this fun romp. Where you're just like visuals, things blowing up and this and that.
Okay.
That's going to be a fun break in the middle until we go into the conclusion.
Okay.
And there, I'm going to end that story. Like
Okay.
that. I mean, it could take other forms later
Sure.
on if it has to, but for me, that story arc ends. And that's when I want to leave it and stop working on VRICA. If we continue, then someone else can write it for me because I would have told the story I wanted to tell.
Sure.
That's great, man.
I mean, it'll always leave it open for you to like do
Exactly.
to do solo flicks for White.
Yeah,
Panther.
exactly.
And all- 10 years from now, like
All
man,
the
remember,
spin-off movies.
Remember that guy Dhruv? He was cool. I want to like bring him back.
We need a Netflix series for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool, man. That's great. We're done here. For everybody who's been listening to this episode, if you want to find Chariot Comics, they're available online, all social
Yeah.
media, everything. Do you want to just give them the handles or
So
something? like
it's basically on Facebook. It's just look for Chariot Comics.
Okay.
And our website is again chariotcomics.com.
There you go.
Just like Google Chariot Comics. and
Chariot
you'll
Comics,
land up
guys, you
there.
heard it. Get
Yeah.
into the Chariotverse now with titles like VRICA, which is out, and Damned as well. So check out all of that. Aniruddho, thank you so much for being here, man. It's been a
Pleasure.
real pleasure. Really wanted to do this for a while, so I'm really glad
Yeah,
we
me
got
too,
you here.
actually, yes.
And for the rest of you guys who want to mail us at Geekfruit, if you have any questions for Aniruddho or us, actually send them to him directly.
Or to Geekfruit.
Or you can send it to us. That's contactgeekfruit@gmail.com. All social medias at GeekfruitHQ. And our website is geekfruit.in. All three different things.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we'll see you guys next week. May the force be with you, you nerds. Hey guys, even though Elon Musk is trying to turn everyone into robots, you'll be happy to know that very real human beings work at IVM Podcast, and some of them are even cool. How do I know? Well, listen to their own podcast, IVM Likes, where they recommend what they are listening to, watching, or reading. Catch IVM Likes every Monday on iTunes, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And may I recommend the IVM Podcasts app?
Excuse me, भैया एक्सक्यूज मी,
बोलिए मैडम।
मेन्यू में क्या है?
मेन्यू में सीन अनसीन है, पॉडकास्ट है, ऑन कोर्स है, साइरस है, मेड इन इंडिया, रीडिस्कवरी प्रोजेक्ट, एम्पावरिंग सीरीज, सेक्स वैक्स है, IVM लाइक्स है, सिंप्लीफाइड है, कीपिंग इट क्वियर है, थिंग्स एंड डेस्टिनेशंस है, माय नेबर जकरबर्ग है और द फैन गराज है। आपको क्या चाहिए?
एक बार रिपीट कर देंगे क्या?
रिपीट नहीं करता हम। आप जाओ IVMpodcast.com पे और सुनो ये सब, या फिर डाउनलोड करो उनका ऐप, सब आपकी उंगलियों पे।